And I'm going to get whoever pull it, read it for me out of the King James, and then I'm going to read it out of the Messenger. Amos 3:3.
King James Version.
All right, yes, sir.
It says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?"
Is that a question, sir? Does it have a question mark behind that? So it is a question mark. It is a question. So it's asking a question there. In the Messenger, it says, do two people walk hand in hand if they aren't going to the same place? Listen to that. Do two people walk hand in hand if they aren't going to the same place? If you notice, at the beginning of the session tonight, we was doing tug of war. We were not walking hand in hand because I wanted to go in one direction, but my wife wanted to go in another direction. So the question in Amos 3:3 asks, do two people, you and your mate, do two people walk hand in hand if they aren't going to the same place? If you notice in the demonstration, we were not hand in hand. Because the reason we weren't hand in hand is because we weren't going to the same place. As married couples, you guys, when that scripture talks about agreement, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? You're not going to agree. Let's talk about that for a moment. You are not going to agree on everything 100% of the time. To me, that's what makes the relationship interesting. It does. To me, it does. This may sound crazy to some, and then others, it may not sound crazy. Sometimes conflict, who can finish what I'm about to say?
I can say it in a different way.
Okay.
Makes a good makeup.
That too. That too. When the Bible talks about Amos 3:3, how can two walk together unless they agree? You're of the same mindset. You're of the same mindset. You're of the same heart. Your agreement, you are in agreement and you are aligned with each other. Now, there will be specific things here and there, different things. You like blue, she like red. I mean, little stuff like that. But I'm talking about in the totality or the fullness of things, you are going or pointed in the same direction. 5 keys to fortify. What does fortify mean? Fortify. 5 keys to fortify and elevate your marriage team. Fortify means to make stronger. Somebody else said something else. To strengthen, to fortify. Yeah, to secure.
Prosper.
Say again?
Prosper.
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 These 5 keys right here. We're about to break these down, but I need y'all to talk to me. Y'all need to wake up and talk to me. We about to dialogue right now. These 5 keys to fortify and elevate. Elevate is to raise or to increase, to make better your marriage team. The scripture says that what God has joined together,
let no man
put asunder. If God has placed us together, we cannot as couples allow nothing, no man, woman, boy, girl, nothing outside of your marriage bond separate you. You have got to be on the same team. On the same team. I like basketball. I like football. I watch baseball sometimes. It's all right. When I look at stuff like that, these sporting events, I like to watch Army movies too. I love to watch when they're trying to secure a certain mission and stuff. I really get into that. I really like that. They are constantly, let's use that, the Army. They are constantly communicating. Constantly. Whether it's a squad, whether it's a platoon, whether it's a battalion. Brother John, you was in the military, right? What I just said, was that correct? Constantly communicating because they are a team. We always heard the cliche. Now I promise y'all, I'm getting to this in a moment, but God is speaking somewhere else right now. I'm coming right back to that. We've all heard there is no I. Y'all heard that before. There is no I in team. It's not about I. It's not about me. I've heard the acronym together. What is it? Everybody achieves
more.
Together. I mean, it's all kind of little cliches and acronyms about team, because the team structure, the team dynamic is so important. The team. You can learn a lot from sporting events, can relate a lot from sporting events, how they operate to your marriages. I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. On the football field, after a play, in most cases, after a play, the team assemble themselves, they get together, and they wrap up like this, and they call that something. They're getting in a store with an H.
Huddle.
I got some ladies know what I'm talking about too. That's all right. They get in a huddle. When they get in that huddle, they are making plans to progress. They're making plans to progress. When they break that huddle and they come up to the line, they want to execute what was communicated in the huddle. When you guys in your marital bonds, when you communicate with each other and you break the huddle, you're wanting to execute what you guys were just talking about. But many times it happens, and I know I'm finna talk to somebody. I know I'm finna talk to somebody up in here. If it ain't nobody but Miss Monica, I'm finna talk to somebody. Sometimes you break the huddle. I bet you can finish what I'm finna say. You break the huddle, and you know what the play was called to do. Time the ball is snapped, something totally different happens. Something totally different happens. The play that we communicated back here, it's time to execute it now, but we're doing something totally different. Why is that? If we're going to do something different at the line, shouldn't we audible? Anybody know what I mean when I say audible? Should we talk to each other and say, hey, we're going to revise this right here? We just said, John, a few seconds ago, communication. All the time communication. That's one of the major components of the team. Many times a teammate gets angry and he's quick wanting to be traded. He not happy with the team that he's on because of something that has happened that has crushed the dynamics of the team. Feeling like in that moment, I would do better with this team over here. We call that separation and divorce. I want to separate myself from this team. I want to divorce myself from this team. And I want to join this team over here. Trade me. We want to switch partners. That is not God. When we took our vows, we said in sickness and in health. I think I put a post, thank you God. I put a posting out there about Monica. I had some medical things going on with me. Had surgery. It was outpatient surgery, and I put a little post out there because I got in my feelings in that moment. I started feeling some kind of way because I was like just thinking about how my teammate came through. How my teammate came through. Your teammate. You guys, y'all have a testimony. I don't know if it's been a year or so, but y'all was talking about, started crying. I've had everybody been crying. Talking about how your teammate came through. That's what I'm talking about. You don't abandon your teammate. You're going to have issues. You may not even agree with the play that's been called, but you don't abandon your teammate. The name of this ministry is Partners for Life. Trading you is not an option. We can think about some other stuff. I might sleep in the guest bedroom tonight, but I ain't gonna go nowhere. Trading me is not an option. Trading, that's not an option. So, to keep the dynamics of the team together, we got our 3 components, but we also have 5 keys here to fortify. Somebody said to strengthen. Sir? To strengthen. To elevate. To raise up. To increase. To make better. Your marriage team. We are a team. Man, I tell you, Pastor, he might have me as far as, I don't know. We very competitive. Everybody that go up in life know that we very, very competitive. And we are. We go to different sporting events, and whether it's basketball, whether it's volleyball, whether we're bowling or whatever, I'm always looking at his stat line, and I know he's looking at mine. We're very competitive. Most of the time, every now and then we be on the same team, but most of the time we be on opposite teams. The last time, then we finna get into this. The last time we played volleyball was that Spinners?
Spinners Park.
I could not conceal what I was doing for him. See, I don't know if you remember this. Do you know what I'm talking about? I see him watching everything I do. See, I'm on one side of the net. Now, this is my team over here. Everybody on my team, hey, I'm talking to them. Wait, tell them where to serve the ball and all this stuff. Because we are a team. We communicate. We working this thing out. John, you was on our team. We working this thing out. I'm back there. Pastor, he's looking at me, and then he's looking at the spots behind me. Because he trying to figure out his opponent. He's looking at me saying, he tired. He told somebody that he tired. And I was trying to figure out. He was looking at me just I was trying to suck it up, though. But his strategy was to continue to tire me out. That's what the enemy does in our marital bonds. Mm-hmm. Look, when I was down a few days ago, Monica stood up like a champion. Hey, watch this. Today I read a posting. Today. It's a little bit further down in my notes, but that's okay. I'm going to go and say it now. I read a posting today that said, to my king, he is my biggest cheerleader. Yep. He is my motivator. He is my supporter. He is my king. How many of you know who posted that today? Does anybody know? You know? Yeah, right there.
Yes, she did.
That thing motivated me. And she was talking about him, but it motivated me. It motivated me. And see, that's gonna be in. Now I got to look at my notes, but what she did. Sacrifice. Is it number 4? That's who said that? Number 4. That's exactly right. When I get to my notes, we're gonna get to that. That's what I was gonna say that, but God gave it to me a little early. Yeah. That's fortifying. That's one of the ways. Yep. That's the yeah. That's fortifying. Now, when little sister girl on campus started talking about, Nick, you this, you that, it ain't gonna even phase Nick. It ain't gonna phase Nick. He already been fortified.
You been elevated.
He been elevated. And see, yeah, that too. Well, y'all ain't no good.
cute, his wife called him a king.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Don't
Cute
fuck
don't-
his king.
There you go.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. When I read that, boy, I was like, I couldn't jump too high with it. I got happy on that thing. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get into my keys right here. 5 keys to fortify and elevate your marriage team. Number 1, make God's vision. Whose vision?
God's vision.
Make God's vision for your marriage the focal point. Make his vision. How are you going to know what God's vision is, though? How are you going to know what his vision is in order to make it your focal point? There's some things that we have to do in our marriages in order to know what his vision is. See, God's vision overall for marriages is the respect, the admiration, the grace. But how many of you know that God has specific visions for each and every one of us as well?
Yes.
His specific vision, Isaiah, Devontae, his specific vision for you guys may be different from his specific vision for Miss Keisha and Nick. So you have got to seek God for yourselves, for your marriage, to know what his vision is for you. Make God's vision for your marriage the focal point. You focusing on that thing. It's intentional. You are constantly communicating with him about your marriage. When Monica and I were in Sarasota, Florida, we never knew that we would be the owners of a mortgage company at some point. We never knew that. Right now, where you are right now, 5 years from now, God may have something so great in store for you, but you won't have an inkling of it if you don't know who he is and his vision for you. When you build that relationship together, see, what I love about God, when the relationship is where it needs to be, both of you together, the relationship is where it needs to be. Yes, the man is in leadership. Yes, the man he called to be the priest, the leader. Yes, he did call that. But God speaks to the wife as well. He does. God speaks to the wife as well. Hey, this phrase right here got a hold going too fast. When I first accept my call into the ministry, I gave a testimony. The same dream I had that night, she had the exact same one. Isaiah, that scared me. That scared me. That's when I knew it was of God, and I couldn't hesitate no more, Pastor. I said, you know what? This ain't no coincidence. You telling me the same thing that was in my dream. The exact same thing. So that's what I said. The vision that he has for you, he will talk to, yes, the male, but he's talking to the wife as well. So, in my notes about the vision. In Genesis 2:24, it says, therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife. And they shall be how many flesh?
One.
They shall be one flesh. It says the man shall leave. The man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave. Cleave is to join. Cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. Ephesians 5:25. For husbands, this means love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. The kind of love that Christ expects males to give their wife is an agape love. That's the love he has for us. Because if it wasn't agape, we would be in trouble. What do I mean by that? If his love for us was conditional, if his love for us was dependent upon what I do, I've been in trouble, Pastor. If his love for me, I only love you, Azira, when you act right. That's basically what I'm saying. I only love you when I act right. The verse said, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. It's an agape type love. Sacrificial giving to the wife without expecting anything in return. The wife could be cutting up. The wife could be cutting up. You don't know what's going on. You're like, oh Lord. But God's still expecting you to do right by her, to still love her unconditionally. That's when you start tapping into his vision for your union. Let's go on to number 2. If anybody got anything else on that. Yes.
You want us to comment